Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Adelia Puspita, and right now I will explaining and presentation about the project in the middle project exam from the cross-cultural understanding. And the title that I want to talk about is about the power of language fostering successful intercultural interaction and relationship. So, the first is about what is intercultural interaction. So intercultural interaction is a interaction between people from the different culture background, and they include language, custom, value, and way of thinking, and the most important in today in the global world. So next we're gonna talk about the role of intercultural interaction. The first is language as a communication tool, and then language reflect a cultural identity, and they have a real understanding and can be a bridge or a barrier. So why is language so powerful? Because language is safe how we express the idea, and they help us to avoid misunderstanding each other, and they influence attitude and perception. And the next is they show respect towards other culture. So this is the example of language influence, like for example using local greeting like assalamualaikum or namaste. So choosing a polite and respectful words, and they avoiding offensive expression, and they understanding cultural meaning behind words. So this is like, for example, assalamualaikum and namaste. This is like a local greeting. Assalamualaikum is from Indonesia for the Muslims. So we say assalamualaikum. And the next, we're gonna talk about language and intercultural relationship. So language strengthens relationship by showing empathy, and then building a trust, and then creating comfort in a communication. And the next is encouraging mutual respect. So the next we're gonna talk about the challenge in intercultural communication. They have a many challenge, and this is for example, I think the challenge is about the accent difference. We as a uh, as a people, as a human, that we have an accent different from another country from because we have a different country, or we have from a different uh, country or different culture. And the next is difficult idiom or expression. And the next is different cultural context. And the next is different interpretation of body language. And the next is linguistic evidence is about misunderstanding. So for this is the real example, like English process, they have a, like, can you open the window? It's a polite request, I think, and but in some culture, direct question may sound rude. So language study, they have a direct varies between high context and low context cultural. It's from the Hall in the 1976. So this is the example of intercultural situations, like maybe when you have a conversation between tourists and the local, and the next is about international student exchange program, and the next is about multinational workplace collaboration, or I think when you have a friendship across religion or ethnicities. So the conclusion is language has a powerful role in helping people from different culture communicate and understand each other and build positive relationship. Language is not just a word, but is a tool to show respect, avoid misunderstanding, and connect with people from diverse background. So with effective language use, individual can create a trust, strengthen relationship, and communicate harmoniously in multicultural setting. So the next after this, I have three case study, and the first is about the first is about uh, a team of employees from Indonesia, Germany, and Japan are working together on a joint technology project. During the meetings, the German manager often gives a direct feedback. The Japanese member remain silent when they disagree, and the Indonesian team try to avoid confrontation to maintain harmony. After several weeks, communication start to break down, and deadlines are missed and misunderstanding occur. So in this case study, they have a main cultural barrier using Hasford and Hall. The first is about Germany. So Germany using a low context and very direct, and they have a low power distance, and they and of course they open discussion. And I think Germany is so individualistic. And the next is about Japan. If you see that Japan have a high context, and it means like they have a silent to avoid conflict, and they have a higher power distance, and they show collectivities. And Indonesia have a high context, but it means they indirect and so polite. And Indonesia have a very high power distance. It means they show collectivities. So the main barrier in this case is about direct versus indirect communication, I think, and they have a different attitude toward hierarchy, and they have a silent interpreted differently, or they have a harmony versus straightforwardness, I think. So this is the evidence and data to Hosford score. In this case, they have a three things. The first is about power distance, and the second is about individualism, and the last is about arcanally avoidance. The first is about power distance. Germany have a 35, Japan have a 54, and Indonesia have 78. And in the individualism, Germany have a 67, and Japan have a 46, and Indonesia have a 14. And in the arcanally avoidance, Germany have a 65, and Japan have a 92, and Indonesia have 48. So the strategy to overcome this barrier, I think the first is about define how to give a feedback each other, and the next is clarify meaning of a silence, and the next is encourage respectful disagreement, and we can read in follow up about this case, and the next is we can explain directness and indirectness, and this is so important, I think. And the next is we can teach how each culture expresses disagreement. And the last, maybe we can build awareness and empathy each other. Okay, next we're gonna talk about case study number 2. So the scenario of this case study is an Indonesian furniture company, Tropical Craft, is expanding to the European market. The company marketing team created advertisement emphasizing family value and community spirit. However, the campaign received little attention from European audience and how viewed the ads as overly emotional and lacking professionalism. So, in this case, they have a communication failure, like Indonesian, for example, they so emotional, family-oriented, and collectivities. And European market, they have a prefer direct, professional, and product-focused content. So this is the different things about Indonesia and European market. And so the result about this case is they have a perceived as a overly emotional and unprofessional. So from the data, household individualism score, UK have a 89, and Germany have a 67, and French have a 71, and Indonesia have a 14. So Europe is prefer informational and rational ads. It's from Demoji in the 2019. And Asia has a respond well to emotional storytelling. It's from Kim and Marcus in the 1999. And Europe have a low context, and Indonesia have a high context. It's from Hall. So the next is about the revise marketing strategy. So in this case, highly product quality is about wood type, durability, and design craftsmanship. And the next is use direct professional tone. And the next maybe implies sustainable certification. And the next is about appeal to individual lifestyle and modern aesthetic. And the next is about use clean visual design. So for the conclusion, I think cultural adaptation is essential, aligning message style with European preference, improve engagement and brand success. Okay, next we're gonna talk about the last case study. So the scenario about this case is about during a business negotiation between a U.S. company and Arab client in Dubai, the American representative repeatedly checks his watch and maintains a wide personal distance. The Arab client interprets this behavior as an impatience and disrespect, leading to a tense atmosphere and failing negotiation. So, this is the key nonverbal issue in this case is about time perception. It's about time perception. Like American value have punctuality, but Arab value have a patience. And the next is about personal speech. Okay, sorry. And the next is about K non-verbal issue. The first is about time perception. American have a value punctuality, but Arab have a value patience. But and the next is about personal speech. American prefer a distance, but Arab prefer closeness. And about the body language, American behavior appear a cold, but like bold or uninterested. So the cultural evidence in this, like, is from Hall in the 1976 in U.S. monochronic and Europe have a polychronic. And American need a 45 until 120 centimeter speech, but Arab have a 20 until 40 centimeter. And Arab culture have a high context, but US have a low context communication. And the impact on trust in this case is Arab will through stoke a warm and time, and American show professionalism through efficiently. So this is the misunderstanding damage relationship and negotiation. So the strategy for success in this case study is the first is about we can learn local nonverbal norms and avoid checking watch often and then accept closer personal distance politely and the next is with rapid before business discussion. So the conclusion in this case is maybe Arab and US can be spreading nonverbal and cultural differences faster through and successful global business relation. So I think this is enough for me for presentation. Kurang lebihnya mohon maaf. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.